Hello, my name is Rebecca Sleemock, and for my Chapter 11 Power of 3 video, I chose homeless veterans as my special population. Shelter is considered a basic need in Maslow's hierarchy of needs alongside air and food. This video will show how this particular basic need is not being met for veterans and how that relates to their health and health care. As seen in the video, if the world were 100 people, 23 would be living without shelter. Now let us consider the United States specifically. The annual Homeless Assessment Report by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development found that on a given night in January of 2015, 436,921 people were homeless, with 47,725 of those, or 8%, being identified as veterans. That means that 1 in 10 homeless adults was a veteran, and 34% of those were in unsheltered locations. A majority of those veterans experiencing homelessness are unmarried. Only 3% represent homeless veterans with families. 91% are men, 57% are Caucasian, followed by 34% African American, and individuals between the ages of 31 and 50 represent 41%. These veterans have served in wars such as World War II, the Korean, Vietnam, Cold, and Gulf Wars, and Operation Enduring and Iraqi Freedom, with nearly half of the homeless veterans serving during the Vietnam era. Why are they homeless, you might ask? There are a multitude of reasons that include shortage of affordable housing, livable income, and access to health care, a lack of family and social support networks for those experiencing the lingering effects of post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD and substance abuse, or their military occupations and training are not always transferable to the civilian workforce. There is a breakdown in the support provided by society and its capacity to care for the most vulnerable and needy. To examine some of the enabling factors for homelessness and lack of health care among veterans, we must go beyond the consideration that it is the harsh environment they live in or the high-risk behaviors they choose to partake in, and instead consider the veterans' interaction with the healthcare system. There is evidence that negative experiences with the healthcare system can influence health-seeking behaviors and future care. In a 2015 study, homeless veterans reported their major reasons for delaying to seek care to be in 3 domains. The first was trust, with reports of veterans not trusting the VA or doctors and being afraid. The second was stigma, with veterans reporting not being sober, being treated poorly, or being embarrassed by their appearance. Finally, the third was care process, with veterans reporting issues with not being able to smoke, not having identification, and being assigned a student doctor. Another study has examined first-time and chronically homeless veterans in terms of mental and physical health correlates. Economic downturns in the United States have contributed to the veteran demographic experiencing more physical health problems, such as heart disease, hypertension, and joint disorder, as they become increasingly exposed to unemployment and the rising cost of living. In addition to this increase in physical health problems, they found that first-time homelessness was associated with housing costs, being post-incarceration, and self-reported diagnosis of mental health disorders such as traumatic brain injury. Veterans that were chronically homeless were associated with self-reported substance abuse problems and mental health problems. One particular physical health problem that has been found to contribute to homelessness for veterans is joint pain disorder. Those encountering homelessness for the first time are more likely to experience an association with joint pain disorder. Joint pain becomes an issue when it becomes chronic pain. This is a problem for veterans as they transition into the civilian workforce. It can limit their job prospects by creating a barrier against employment that includes strenuous labor. Additionally, it can be a driver to drug and alcohol abuse to cope with the pain, as well as encourage disruptive behaviors. Additional consequences of joint pain disorder relate to socioeconomic factors such as unemployment and low income. One of the strongest predictors of becoming homeless after discharge from active duty is the presence of a mental disorder, whether it is a mental illness or a substance-related disorder. Mental disorders can include anxiety disorders, PTSD, and adjustment personality or psychotic disorders. Serving during Operations Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom is becoming a risk factor for developing a mental disorder. There are an increasing number of males and females being diagnosed with PTSD before they leave the service. In a recent study of those who had no prior experience with homelessness, around 78 to 83% of those newly homeless are diagnosed with a mental disorder before becoming homeless, and about half of the newly homeless occurred after 3 years of being discharged from active duty. This indicates that there is not only a window of opportunity for preventing veterans from becoming homeless, but that it is beneficial to focus on treatment of veterans with mental disorders. By enhancing access to effective services and treatment, we could potentially see a reduction in the number of homeless veterans. Access to primary care for homeless veterans is impeded by institutional barriers in health services such as geographically displaced locations of care. It should come as no surprise, then, that 66% of those who seek and receive care do so in emergency departments or urgent care centers. The new idea of co-locating services at health institutions has shown improvements in the quality of medical care when compared to those that were geographically displaced. Results of the comparison show that for those that were co-located, there was a decreased wait time to less than 1 day to be seen by primary care, which is a significant improvement to the 2 months that many have to wait at several VA centers. In addition, because primary care offers prevention services and those individuals were seen quicker, there is a potential for effects on future health and the forestalling of future problems. Not to mention, emergency room visits were also lower for those institutions that provided co-located services. The number of homeless veterans is declining, but at a slow rate. More research is needed to help change behaviors, improve mental health, and improve the quality of care that is provided. With more research, we will be able to come up with better solutions to the ailments that are contributing to homelessness currently. Co-location of health services is a great alternative to the way institutions are currently set up to deliver care, and it can enable better access. Additionally, certain measures can be taken to help reduce both first-time and chronic homelessness. For those experiencing homelessness for the first time, a combination of health care and economic supports, such as job retraining and supported housing, could help. For those who endure chronic homelessness, there is more of a need to combine economic support and substance abuse treatment. The point is, we should not stop at providing housing. We need to emphasize mental health care to help veterans handle future situations with instability in any form, whether economic or personal. Discussion questions. Number 1. What aspects would you include to address and improve on the 3 domains, trust, stigma, and care process, that homeless veterans regard as their main reasons for delaying to seek care? Number 2. In what ways would you improve the military discharge process to better prepare veterans for civilian workforce? And number 3. Do you think that co-location should be the new way to provide care? Why or why not?